And we're serving about 260, and every week that number goes up. So we are also, just so you know, we're doubling our service. So instead of just Thursdays, we want to do Tuesdays also. But we need your volunteers to do that. So if anybody's free on Tuesdays from 8 to noon, we'd love to have you come. Bring your mask. We've got the gloves. We can be social distancing. We'll keep you a safe distance from the clients and just help us work within the fellowship hall. I sure would love it. I'm excited that we can do more because there are people hurting more. We have more people coming asking for food, for showers, and for laundry service. So thank you, Union, for helping us provide that. It's because of all you do that we can. A lot of people have been sewing these, and we thank you also. We've been handing them out to all the clients, and we've been using them ourselves too. You're wearing a mask. I never thought I'd have to do that, but I guess that's the new normal for now anyway. Cookers, if you would like to help us, come on by the church Monday or Tuesday morning, where we have hams that we need cooked and sliced. And we also have cheesy potatoes again. That was an easy recipe. We'd love to have you help us out by making that for us. Also, shoppers. Hamburger is needed. We're doing Sloppy Joe's again. The clients love it, so we're going to do it again. And we're also going to be doing shepherd's pie again. So anybody willing to get some hamburger for us and donate it to us, we'd help appreciate it. Hamburger buns, too, for the Sloppy Joe's. Like I said, we're serving about 260 each Thursday, and now we're starting Tuesday, so we're kind of adding more work to our group, but it'll be worth it, and I'm really glad that we can be the hands and feet of Christ. So I would sing you the song, the old one, I need you, oh, I need you, but you don't want to hear me sing, so have a happy Sunday. Thank you.
Troubles linger still. Whom shall I fear? I know who goes before. I know who stands behind. The God of angels' armies. He's always by my side. The one who reigns forever. He is a friend of mine. The God of angels' armies, He's always by my side. My strength is in your name, for you alone can save. You will deliver me, yours is the victory. Whom shall I fear? Whom shall I fear? I know who goes before me. I know who stands behind. The God of angels' armies is always by my side. The one who reigns forever. He is a friend of mine. The God of angel armies is always by my side. And nothing formed against me shall stand. You hold the whole world in your hand. I'm holding on to your promise. is always by my side. You're the one who reigns forever. He is a friend of mine. The God of angel armies is always by my side. I know who goes before me. I know who stands behind. The God of angel armies is always by my side. You're the one who reigns forever. He is a friend of mine. The God of angel armies is always by my side. You're the God of angel armies. You're always by my side. You're the God of angel armies. He's always by my side. Thank you so much, Lord, that you are the God of angel armies. You go before us, you stand behind. You are the one who reigns forever. You are sovereign. You are in control. You are a friend of ours, our best friend above all friends. Nothing formed against us shall stand, because you hold the whole world in your hands. Nothing. No disease, no sickness, no problem. Nothing can stand against us. You are an amazing God. You are faithful. You are faithful. Even when we are unfaithful, you are faithful. You're the God of angel armies. You are always by our side. Sweet, sweet honey on my lips, like the sound of a symphony to my ears, like holy water on my skin. Sweet, sweet honey on my lips, like the sound of a symphony to my ears, like holy water on my skin. Your grace, God, I need it every day. It's the only thing that ever really makes me want to change. Oh, I don't want to abuse your grace, God. holy water. Oh, holy water. Oh, it's holy water.
I don't wanna abuse your grace, but I need it every day. It's the only thing that ever really makes me wanna change.
Amen. Amen.
Through the eyes of men, it seems there's so much we have lost. As we look down the road where all the prodigals have walked, and one by one the enemies whisper lies and let them all fascinate. But we know that you are God, yours is the victory. We know there is more to come that we may not yet see. So with the faith you've given us, we step into the valley unafraid. We call out to dry bones, come alive, come alive. We call out to dead hearts, come alive, come alive. Up out of the ashes, let us see an army rise. We call out to dry bones, come alive. God of endless mercy, God of unrelenting love, rescue every daughter, bring us back the wayward son. And by your spirit breathe upon them, show the world that you alone can save. You alone can save. We call out to dry bones, come alive, come alive. We call out to dead hearts, come alive, come alive. Up out of the ashes, let us see an army rise. We call out to dry bones, come alive. So breathe, oh breath of God, now breathe, oh breath of God, breathe, oh breath of God, now breathe. So breathe, oh breath of God, now breathe, oh breath of God, breathe, oh breath of God, now breathe. So breathe, oh breath of God, now breathe, oh breath of God, breathe, oh breath of God, now breathe. So breathe, oh breath of God, now breathe, oh breath of God, breathe, oh breath of God, now breathe. As we call out to dry bones, come alive, come alive. We call out to dead hearts, come alive, come alive. Up out of the ashes, let us see an army rise. We call out to dry bones, come alive, yeah.
that I never faced before. That's why I'm calling on you, Lord. I know it's been a while. Lord, please hear my prayer. I need you like I've never had before. Ooh, sometimes it takes a mountain, sometimes a troubled sea, sometimes it takes a desert to get a hold of me. Your love is so much stronger than whatever troubles me. Sometimes it takes a mountain to trust you and believe.
Forgive me, Jesus, I thought I could control whatever life would throw my way. With this I will admit it's brought me to my knees. I need you, Lord, and I'm not ashamed to say, sometimes it takes a mountain, sometimes a troubled sea, sometimes it takes a desert to get a hold of me. Your love is so much stronger than whatever troubles me. Sometimes it takes a mountain to trust you and believe. Sometimes it takes a mountain, sometimes a troubled sea, sometimes it takes a desert, oh, to get a hold of me. Your love, oh Lord, your love is so much stronger than whatever troubles me. Sometimes it takes a mountain to trust you and believe. Sometimes it takes a mountain to trust you and believe.
Good morning, Union Church family, and let me start off by congratulating everybody. We are not even 15 seconds into the message, and all of us have already completed the first step of what the message is going to be asking us to practice. Allow our lives to become interrupted. Done. Check that box. We are already there. We find ourselves in this rare time where we all find ourselves, for the most part, in the same boat. All of our lives have come to a grinding halt. all of our lives have just, we're going in one direction. We thought we knew what March, April, May, June, July were going to look like, and we were wrong. Our entire world has been interrupted. I could have been telling stories about Saul turning into Paul, about Jesus calling Levi, about Jonah and the whale and Balaam and the donkey, these stories that Scripture gives us of interruptions. But I don't even need to talk about it because we're all living it right now. We all are being interrupted. And it's kind of a good thing. Let me tell you why it's a good thing that we're being interrupted. I'm not saying what's going on in the world is good, but us being interrupted can be a good thing. Because we get so caught up in the minutia of the day. We have our routines, and we get into our routines, and sometimes routines can be really good. I know I need them to be able to make it through the day and look like a productive member of society. I need those. But we can get so caught up in our routines that we kind of go onto autopilot. And we work, and we work, and we work, and we work, and we work. And then next thing you know, it's been a year. Next thing you know, I haven't talked to that friend in months. Next thing you know, I haven't texted my mom back in how long? It happens. And so these interruptions we need, yet we all find ourselves in the same interruption right now. And so instead of trying to explain what that interruption is and how it feels like, I just want to share a little bit of my experience in the interruption, just so we can share stories a little bit here. But before getting into my stories, I want to give you a physical example of what does it feel like us going through this. I like talking about science. As a science nerd, I'm nowhere near as smart as the people I like to talk about, but I just love it. I can't help but brag about science. With acceleration, speeding up, deceleration, slowing down. Did you know that that's what you feel? If you're in a car going 60 miles an hour, you don't really feel that you're going 60 miles an hour. It feels like you're sitting still. But if you start to speed up, you're going to feel that acceleration. You start to slow down, you're going to feel that deceleration. We're moving extremely fast at this very moment. If you're at the equator and the Earth is, rotated, if you're at the equator, you're already moving at roughly about 1,000 miles per hour, rotating. The Earth itself, as it's revolving around the sun, is going about 67,000 miles an hour, but we don't feel it. Yet, if I'm in the car and we're going 50 miles an hour and I slam on the brake to stop, everybody in the car is going to feel it dramatically. And that's only 15 miles an hour compared to the thousands and thousands of miles per hour that we're moving otherwise, but we just don't feel it. It's the change that we notice. It's the change that we feel that makes it real to us. And we all are having a lot of those changes now, that this virus and all these new ways of living are impacting us. You have to stay at home. Your life at home is completely changed. I know myself, I have 3 kids that I am helping with schooling at home right now. I used to teach Bible. I taught one subject, and that was it. I was good to go. Now I'm teaching all the subjects for 3 different grade levels. And I have my wife as my partner, and we're doing, I'd like to think we're doing great, but we're trying our hardest to make it happen, but it was a huge change from what we were doing. We basically went from having our jobs to having a new full-time job as a homeschool teacher. And how many of us parents out there right now are experiencing that? Not just with the homeschooling, but also a little bit of the cabin fever. For a little bit, we felt like we have not been advised to leave our homes. Since this started, I'm not proud to admit this, my family was complete. We have not seen pretty much any of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. We haven't seen any of them. The Iron Man, Thor, Avengers, all that. We haven't seen any of them. We've seen all of them since this started. That is 50 hours of movies. My family just sat around and just vegged out, drooling, just dripping into the popcorn as we're taking in all of this that was supposed to be spread across years. We took it all in a month and a half. So we all find ourselves with a little bit of cabin fever. We got to get out and do something. We don't get to see the sun as often. We don't get many opportunities to go outside, go and commune and be with people. But sometimes when we do get outside, it's almost worse. I could say from experience, going to the grocery store since this has started has been just a harrowing experience every time. Just going in the store, walking, and just feeling like you need to stay just the right distance from everybody. It's a lot of pressure when I'm just trying to pick up my Cheerios, guys. Come on, like, it's too much pressure. I just want to shop. So then my wife and I are like, well, let's do the grocery pickup at Walmart. Well, we tried that, and then we were waiting for an hour and a half to pick up our groceries. I'm not sitting here to complain and say, woe is me, but this is the situation we all find ourselves in. But we can also find a little bit of humor in these situations too. Like when I was waiting to pick up my groceries yesterday, enjoying the breeze, got the window rolled down, and my allergies have been acting up, and I just had a sneeze come out of nowhere. One of the ones where you can't really even stop it. Just bam, it explodes out of your face, and I caught it just in time, right? And then I hear, I look, every car that was parked on either side of me and down the road were all looking at me with their windows rolling up very slowly. And the judgment I felt was incredible, the weight of it all. I could feel the laser beams of them just shooting at me. Just, why would you do this? You go home. And we've all experienced moments like that. We all, as we go through this, experiencing this new world that changed like that, so quick. But we do find ourselves in a special place through all of this. And it's a pretty heady term. It's a pretty almost hard to grasp idea. But I'm going to do my best to explain it in a way that makes sense for all of us. And the term I'm looking at here is liminal space. Liminal space. And what this is, it's a location of transition. If you were to put this into physical terms, it would be like the doorway to a place, and you're standing over the threshold with one foot on one side of the doorway, on one side of the threshold, and the other foot on the other side of the threshold, where you're neither in nor out. You're kind of just there in transition in this very uncomfortable place, mid-stride, William. And usually these moments in our lives, these liminal spaces, these spaces where we're striding this threshold, a change in our lives, when we're in the middle of going through a transition, these moments are when true, powerful, and sustainable, long-lasting transformation happens within us. And they can be identified by moments of great joy and moments of great suffering. Think of rites of passage. Think of old tribes. When a boy is becoming a man, they would have to go through a rite of passage. That was a liminal space for them, a space where they were neither the boy they used to be or the man they were training to become, but they were somewhere else. I'll give you another one, a moment of great joy. The night before your wedding. You know, it's not the wedding night. It's not that kind of party. It's not the actual wedding where you get to enjoy being with everybody, but it's that night. Right before you fall asleep, lying alone, knowing this could be my last time having to do this. It's the in-between space. Could be waiting for a test result to come back, a medical test result, waiting to see if it is cancer, waiting to see if it's an autoimmune disease, waiting to see if it's a viable pregnancy. These moments of waiting, of being not quite in the next season to come, but you're definitely not in the previous season anymore either. These locations of transitions are so uncomfortable, but so much power and change can come into our lives through these moments if we allow ourselves to be in a position of transition. Allow ourselves to take the position where we say, yes, I see that things are changing, and I want to change with it. The old isn't going to work anymore, and I'm willing and ready to change myself along with my situation. And it's so hard to recognize what to do. That's a daunting task. All right, the world's changing. You got to change with it. Surprise, you're now a homeschool teacher. Surprise, you have to stay at home. Surprise, you can't come to church on Sundays anymore. Surprise, you may not have a job, or surprise, you have a job, but guess what? You may not be getting paid. These sudden changes hit hard and fast, and it happens so quick that we will sit here and be dumbfounded, like, I don't even know what the next step to do here is. But God gave us a promise back in Jeremiah. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 13, tells us, you will seek me, and you will find me, because you will seek me with all of your heart. God made us a promise that when all this wild things are going on and you can't keep up, when you seek God with all of your heart, you will find God. When we're going through these horrifically terrible times and we don't know what to do, when we seek God and when we seek wisdom, God's going to provide it. God will be there. God will most certainly be there. And I want to share with y'all a little story from the Old Testament that I feel demonstrates how we as Union Church and we as Christ's body, the universal church, the body of God here on earth, how we can best approach this crisis as we're going through it all together. Moses, this is after they had fled Israel, after they had gone to Mount Sinai, after they got the Ten Commandments, but before they got to the Holy Land. So you have all the Israelites are complaining, and they are just whining and complaining. Moses, we're so hungry. Moses, we're so thirsty. We would have been better off if he left us to die in Egypt. At least we had 3 square meals there. Instead, we're out here wandering. We're going to die of thirst in the desert. Thanks a lot, Moses. And Moses had to listen to all this complaining. God had to listen to all this complaining. There was so much complaining that one of the areas that they stayed in, they literally named complaining, and they tested God with their complaints. My kids complain a lot, especially now that we're all stuck in a house by ourselves for this time. They complain a lot. They've never complained so much that I'm renaming this place Complaining and You Have Tested Your Father's Patience. It hasn't been that bad yet. Let's pray it doesn't get there. But that's how bad their complaining was. But it wasn't just, oh, we don't have food, or oh, we don't have water. But they also had other things they were complaining about, things that truly were a big deal, such as not having food and water. They were constantly being attacked. They were being ambushed by this group of people called the Amalekites. And so what these Amalekites would do is they would be hiding off in the wilderness, and the stragglers, the people that weren't able to keep up with this huge group of the Jewish nation as they were wandering the Arabian Peninsula, they weren't able to keep up with them. They would come and kill the stragglers, kidnap them, enslave them, steal their things, murder hundreds of them at a time. So the Jewish people were really scared of these now Amalekite raiders that were coming in and picking them off. They felt completely lost and broken and attacked from all sides. Very similar to how we are kind of feeling right now in this world. But then it switched from an invisible enemy that was sneaking up and killing the stragglers to now the Amalekites were going on with a full frontal assault. They were going to attack the Jewish nation head on to wipe them out once and for all. And Moses, he goes to Joshua and he says, I need you to get together your little army, and I need y'all to go out there. I need y'all to fight this battle. And I'm going to be up here on this mountain. I'm going to hold up my staff glorifying God. And as I'm holding up this staff glorifying God, you know you're going to win this battle. So that's what they do. They go out. Moses, he takes Aaron and another person, Hur, up to this mountain. And Moses holds up his staff, holds up his hands, and the battle starts raging on. And they're battling, and they're battling. And after a while, Moses starts getting real tired from holding up that staff, and his hands start to come down a little bit. And the lower his hands get, they can see standing up on that mountain, the battle starts to fail. It starts to falter. The Amalekites start conquering and overwhelming the Jewish nation. They're being overwhelmed. They had their power, and it was being diminished. And so he had to raise his arms up and glorify God again and focus his attention on that. And they start winning the battle more and more. And after a while, Moses was too weary from holding his arms up for so long that Aaron and Hur, they laid out some stones to make a little place for him to lean up against. And they each came alongside him and held up his hands for him, helping him hold up the staff to glorify God. They held it up throughout the whole battle until that night, that evening, when the Israelite nation won. They had won the battle. They were victorious. Now bear with me. It's a little bit of a stretch here, so please be patient with me. I really see this as how we should be approaching the changes in our lives. They were changed from Egypt to wandering. And they were wandering, and their life came into a massive interruption. A full frontal assault. The enemy is attacking. It is them or us starting now. That was an interruption. They couldn't just keep walking anymore. And they had to face that. And the key to facing that was Moses holding up his hands, and that's a sign of a connection with God, a sign of prayer, and holding up his arms. And he couldn't do it alone. He needed people to come alongside him and help hold him up. So in our current liminal space that we find ourselves in now, how can we get into that flow? How can we get into the flow of, okay, everything's changed. I need to allow myself to change and move forward when things seem impossible. First, it's okay to complain. It's okay to groan. Romans 8:23 says this, in the same way, the Spirit helps us in our weakness. We do not know what we ought to pray for, but the Spirit himself intercedes for us through wordless groans. And he who searches our hearts and knows the minds of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for God's people in accordance with the will of God. So when we sit here and say, I don't know what to do, I'm trying my best, and I feel like it's still not good enough, I'm at a complete loss. Congratulations. That might be the realest prayer you've done today. You may not have been necessarily even been directing it towards God. You may have been just taking your words and out frustration, throwing them to the sky and seeing what sticks. But that's it. That's the Holy Spirit praying through us. Let yourself feel it. See the enemy approaching and feel that. Know that that's the situation you're in. Be honest with yourself. I'm at a loss for words. And with that, allowing your life to become interrupted and notice it. Then we need to connect with God. That battle is raging on, and we're failing. The more we focus on the battle, the more we focus on, I'm out of toilet paper, I don't know what I'm going to do, I don't know if I'm going to be getting paid this week. The more we focus on all these things that we can't control, the battle is getting lost more and more. But when we lift up our hands, like Moses lifted up his hands to God, it may be us lifting up our hands saying, God, I don't know what to do. It may even be that. But acknowledging that, abiding with God in that, and asking the Holy Spirit, please walk with me through this and guide me, lead me through this. That's the steps we need to take to overcoming this. That's the steps when we do that, we take our eyes off the battle and put our eyes on the Lord. The battle's going to get won because we're not the ones that are fighting this. It is beyond our control. We can't fight the virus by worrying about it. We can't fight it by panicking about it. All we can do is trust and do our best. to not make things worse. And when we lift up and we connect with God, the third thing that we can here do is connect with each other. The Bible tells us where two or more are gathered, there I certainly will be. Lately, it's where two or more are gathered, but less than 10. I will certainly be among you. That's kind of the world that we're living in right now, but we can't gather. But we can still be there for each other. You don't have to physically be standing next to somebody to be with them in solidarity. Not that long ago, I received a letter. My whole family received a letter from one of our people here at Union, Miss Betty Hannah. I cried for a solid 20 minutes after reading this letter. I just read it over and over again. She didn't make the virus go away. She didn't ensure I had a paycheck. She didn't make sure that my kids wouldn't get sick. She didn't make sure that my schooling would be able to resume. She didn't guarantee any of that. She just let me know she loved me and was thinking about me. And it meant the world to me. It meant the world to my girls. It meant the world to my wife. It changed so much for us. Couldn't even give her a hug. Haven't given her a hug yet, but I promise you, when this is all over, Betty, you're getting a hug. It's coming. Be ready for it. But being together in solidarity, we can use this solidarity to combat the isolation that we feel when we have to be so far from each other. And we can use humor to battle the fear. Instead of being scared of everything, you can't control it. Let's just make a joke every now and then. If you're out of toilet paper, that's unfortunate. That happens. I've been out of toilet paper since this thing started, man. We just got to find a way to make light of it and make it funny as best as we can, the things that it's appropriate to make funny. And the last thing that we can do, and I wish this was a big, huge, amazing, beautiful finale where I hit you hard with this last point and everyone goes, woo, that was good. I can't wait to go home and practice this. Last thing, we got to wait. Sorry, that's not exciting. It's not a battle cry. It's not a horn blowing, a trumpet sounding. It's not a crash of thunder. It's just we got to wait. When Moses got up there, he's like, all right, it's time for this battle to go. The problem wasn't raising up his hands to glorify God. The problem was keeping him up there. Because he was up there all day, man. The battle wasn't over until that evening, and he was just holding him up, and he had to have his family and loved ones hold them up with him. This isn't a sprint, y'all. This is a marathon. And I'm not talking just the COVID-19 crisis that we're in right now. This life, all of it, this crisis we're in right now is a microcosm to everything that we're dealing with for our whole time here on earth. This is the answer. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. It's Proverbs 3:5. I don't know where that came from. It's not in my notes. Didn't want to do it. That wasn't even something I wanted to say. That's from God. I need to hear it maybe. Maybe it's not for any of y'all, but that's something I need to hear. So trust in the Lord with all your heart. And lean not on your own understanding. The battle went on till sunset, and he had to go through that marathon of holding up his arms. Everything takes time. Everything takes time. So my challenge to you, Union Church, and to myself, especially right now, because, man, I can't even think about anybody else's business. I have enough garbage of my own I have to deal with. This is a challenge to me. Y'all are welcome to join with me in it. Don't rush. Don't rush through this time. But try to learn what we can. Learn new ways of doing things. Learn new ways of living. Learn new ways of trusting God. Learn new ways of tackling problems. Learn new ways of connecting with others. Learn new ways of supporting one another through solidarity. Learn new ways to be the body of Christ without being in the same room as somebody. It ain't easy. I don't even know how to do it. I'm in the same boat as y'all. We're all learning this together. But that's what we need to do. Stay together. Remember God, lift up hands in worship, and hold each other up in that. We got to wait. Got to be patient. And we got to trust that God will use this, like all things, for the good of all of us. It may not have started in a way that is good for all of us, but I believe the promise of God that it may be beyond me, but eventually all things will work together for good. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful and safe and blessed day.